What if I told you that inside you, there's a secret so powerful that it can transform your energy, elevate your consciousness, and unlock hidden abilities? What if this knowledge was hidden from humanity because it makes you someone impossible to control? This isn't a theory. This is a fact that ancient alchemists and mystery schools have always known. But like all knowledge that can set you free, it was coded and fragmented so that only a few could access it. Sacred secretion is real. It happens inside your body every month without you even realizing it. But here's the truth. This energy can either be wasted or transmuted. The ancients spoke of this as the alchemical marriage, the prima materia, the soma, the Christ oil. But it all leads to the same mystery, a hidden bio-spiritual process connected to your pineal gland that can unlock higher levels of perception and regeneration. If you know how to use it, you can transmute your energy and access realities that few can even imagine. The first thing you need to know is that the true process of transmutation doesn't happen outside. It happens within your own body. Yes, you are a living laboratory of alchemy. Inside your brain, there's a secret that few people know, a special substance naturally produced, but with an almost unbelievable potential. This subtle fluid, often referred to as the Christ oil, the elixir of immortality, or the essence of life, is not just a biological component. It is the key to a hidden process of energetic transmutation that can elevate your consciousness to levels most people will never reach. This secretion is born in the colostrum, a structure within the higher brain, and begins its journey descending through the spinal column. But this descent is not just physical. In esoteric symbolism, this movement represents the fall of spirit into matter, the moment when the purest energy enters the physical body and becomes part of the human experience. That's why so many spiritual traditions speak of the descent of light, of the soul coming into the material world to experience duality. But here's the most important detail. This secretion doesn't have to remain in matter. It can rise again. And it is in this process of elevation that the true secret of the ancient masters lies. When it reaches the base of the spine, this substance encounters a point of decision. If it is not consciously worked with, it will simply be reabsorbed by the body without any significant transformation. But if the individual understands this process and directs this energy back to the brain, something extraordinary happens. The return journey of this secretion is not just biological, it is alchemical. As it rises, it passes through the body's energy centers, being purified and refined. When it reaches the heart, a critical point in the journey, it comes into contact with the highest vibration of the human being, the energy of love and spiritual connection. In that moment, matter begins to spiritualize and spirit begins to materialize. This is the true meaning of the fusion between heaven and earth, of the alchemical marriage between the inner masculine and feminine, of the union of divine energy with human experience. The one who masters this process not only understands the flow of their own energy, but learns to manipulate the vibrational frequency of their own body and mind. This knowledge was hidden because it represents spiritual autonomy, energetic self-mastery, and the liberation of the human being from external dependency. If you understand how this energy flows within you, if you learn to preserve and transmute it, your perception of reality changes. You are no longer controlled by lower impulses. You stop wasting your life force, and you begin to feel something that few will ever experience, the direct experience of your own spiritual essence manifesting within your physical body. Transmutation, from the material to the spiritual. The energy is within you, but the way it manifests depends on what you do with it. When the sacred secretion descends through the body, it is just a raw substance, a potential energy. Its natural state is dense, primitive, unconscious. But what happens if it is worked on, refined, and elevated? The journey of this substance's return doesn't happen on its own. It's a process that requires intention, discipline, and knowledge. This is the true great work magnum opus. When it reaches the base of the spine, this energy encounters a point of decision. Most people waste it. It disperses through the body and is reabsorbed without undergoing any transformation. But those who understand its power know that this is not the end of the road, it's the beginning. If this substance is preserved, something extraordinary begins to happen. It rises through the spinal column, passing through the energy centers and being purified at every stage. This is the true meaning of spiritual ascension described in so many traditions. It passes through the solar plexus and where it encounters the fire of transmutation. Here, the raw energy begins to be refined. What was once just a material substance starts becoming something greater, but this is still not its final form. The next stage is the heart. This is the point of purification, where the energy becomes conscious. The heart is not just a physical organ, but an alchemical crucible. If this energy is properly worked with, it transforms, refines, and illuminates. But the most important step is still missing. If the energy continues its journey, it reaches the pineal gland, the gateway between the physical world and the spiritual world. And this is where true transmutation happens. Matter becomes spiritualized, and spirit becomes materialized. This process is not just metaphorical. It has direct effects on the body, the mind, and the perception of reality. When the sacred secretion is elevated, new connections are formed in the brain, activating parts that were previously dormant. Perception expands. Consciousness rises. A person becomes something new. This cycle happens every month, like an energetic dance within your body. You can ignore it, waste it, live like everyone else, or you can learn to manipulate it, refine it, and use it to awaken your true power. The role of the pineal and pituitary glands in energy manipulation. The ascension of the sacred secretion is not just a spiritual metaphor, it has a real effect on the human body. When this substance reaches the highest levels of the spinal column and begins to concentrate in the brain region, two key elements come into play: the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. These two glands are more than just components of the endocrine system. They are true bioenergetic portals responsible for transforming this raw substance into a highly refined fluid. This is the final stage of the energetic transmutation process within the body. The pineal gland, often called the spiritual eye, has been revered in various occult and esoteric traditions. The ancient Egyptians symbolized it with the Eye of Horus, representing vision beyond the illusion of the material world. Meanwhile, Hindus associated its activation with the Ajna chakra, the third eye, responsible for intuition and the perception of subtle reality. But this gland is not just a symbol. It secretes a golden, honey-like substance that acts as a catalyst for expanding consciousness. This fluid is not merely a biological secretion, it carries the frequency necessary to activate dormant brain circuits. At the same time, the pituitary gland enters the process. Known as the mother of the glands, it secretes a milky fluid that, when combined with the golden substance from the pineal gland, forms a powerful elixir. In esoteric texts, this fusion is called the land of milk and honey, a bio-spiritual state in which the body and mind enter perfect harmony. This union does not happen by chance. It marks the moment when the sacred secretion completes its journey and permanently alters the vibrational state of the initiate. The mind becomes clearer, intuition expands, perception of reality shifts. What was once invisible becomes visible. The sacred secretion has reached its peak in the brain, but its journey is not yet over. There is one final stage before the transmutation is complete, a decisive point that will determine whether this energy will be fully spiritualized or dissipate without reaching its true potential. That point is the heart. Contrary to what many believe, the heart is not just a blood pump. It is a generator of electromagnetic energy capable of influencing the entire vibrational field of the body. The ancient masters knew that the heart is the true alchemical crucible, the space where raw energy can be purified and elevated to a higher level. If this energy is absorbed by a harmonious heart, open and aligned with elevated feelings such as compassion and love, it will be amplified and transformed into something much purer. But if this center is filled with resentment, fear, or disharmony, the energy will be blocked or dispersed before completing its ascension. Energy follows consciousness. The way you live, feel and perceive yourself and the world determines what happens to this force within you. This is one of the most hidden secrets of energy manipulation. To help you understand, listen to this short story. There was a young alchemist named Elias. Since childhood, he had heard of the legendary Sacred Secretion, the elixir of transformation that few had managed to awaken. After years of study, he finally found the path to elevating this substance within himself. He followed every teaching precisely, from preserving his energy to activating the pineal gland. But when he reached the final stage, something unexpected happened. When the energy reached his heart, it stopped. It became stagnant, with no strength to rise. Elias tried everything, meditating, breathing deeply, attempting to force the ascension, but nothing happened. So he sought out a master. The old sage listened attentively and with a smile said, "Your heart is still closed. You believe you can reach awakening through techniques and knowledge alone, but you have forgotten the most important thing." Elias was confused. He had followed every step, studied the greatest teachings. How could he have missed something essential? The master took Elias to a stream. The water flowed gently between the rocks, effortlessly. The heart is like this stream. When it is free, energy passes through it without resistance. But when it is filled with rocks, resentments, fears, and unresolved pain, the water cannot flow. Elias understood. He had always tried to control the energy with his mind, but had never worked on his emotions, his internal blockages. Over time, he learned to dissolve his emotional barriers, cultivating love, compassion, and surrender. When he finally allowed his heart to open, the energy rose on its own, as if it had been waiting for that moment to complete its journey. This story reveals a great mystery. The heart cannot be forced. It only responds to the frequency of what you vibrate. If there is fear, insecurity, and resistance, the energy cannot rise. But when the heart is open, transmutation happens naturally. True alchemy is not just about manipulating energy, but allowing it to flow through a being in balance. Without this, the sacred secretion will never fulfill its mission. The activation of energy. The heart has cleared the way, refining the energy, making it more subtle, more conscious. But the journey of the sacred secretion is not over yet. Now it reaches a crucial point. The solar plexus, the center of the inner fire, the place where energy can either be strengthened or completely dissipated. Ancient esoteric texts spoke of this power center in veiled terms. They called it Bethlehem, the house of bread, but this wasn't just a symbolic name. The initiates knew that the birth of Christ, as described in Christian tradition, actually represents the birth of the inner sun, the divine spark that can be awakened within every human being. That's why the sacred secretion must pass through the solar plexus. This is not just another stage of the journey, it is the true test of the initiate. Here, the energy is concentrated, and if properly cultivated, it can be propelled to continue its ascension. But if wasted, if consumed by uncontrolled material and emotional impulses, it dissipates and the cycle is broken. The solar plexus is known as the brain of the body. It governs emotions, instinctual impulses, and how a person interacts with the outside world. This is where great internal battles take place. Willpower versus compulsion, consciousness versus lower desires, awakening versus inertia. If the initiate can pass through this stage without getting lost in the distractions of the world, the energy strengthens. It doesn't just survive, it is reborn. This is the true birth of Christ within the human being, the emergence of a new consciousness. But this energy still needs something to complete its transmutation. It needs fire. The ancient alchemists spoke of a hidden fire within the body, a fire that is not physical, but can burn more intensely than any material flame. This fire does not destroy, it transmutes, but this fire does not ignite on its own. It needs friction. It needs movement. The fire of transmutation is activated by life itself. Every emotional challenge faced with awareness generates internal heat. Every desire controlled and redirected towards something higher increases its intensity. Every moment when the mind refuses to get lost in distraction and chooses to remain present strengthens this fire. The masters of the past knew this. They called this process etherization, the refinement of dense matter, until it becomes something more subtle, lighter, closer to light. This is true alchemy. When the energy of the sacred secretion reaches this stage, it is no longer the same substance that descended from the brain. It has been refined, purified, elevated. Now it can return, complete the cycle, activate dormant brain circuits, and unlock hidden perceptions. But for that to happen, the fire must be kept burning. Because without this internal heat, the energy cools, disperses, and is lost. And that is why so few manage to complete the process. How to prevent the loss of the sacred secretion. The inner fire has been activated, the energy transmuted, and the path of ascension is almost complete. The sacred secretion, now refined and elevated, returns to the point where it began. But before reaching its final destination, it must pass through one last stage, the energetic crucifixion. The ancient masters knew that every process of rebirth requires a sacrifice. In esoteric symbolism, sacrifice doesn't mean loss, it means transformation. The energy that was once dense, once tied to the material world, must now be fixed into the subtle body for true illumination to take place. When this substance reaches the base of the brain, it remains suspended for 3 days. This is the hidden mystery behind the resurrection of Jesus, the myth of Osiris, and the death and rebirth of so many solar deities throughout history. 3 days in the tomb before rebirth. 3 days of energy fixation before illumination. During this period, the energy does not rise immediately. It must be absorbed and transformed within the brain, merging with the secretions of the pineal gland. This is the moment the ancients called the anointing of the inner Christ. Those who reach this stage report a deep sense of mental clarity, heightened perceptions, and a vibrational shift that completely alters their experience of life. This is true illumination, not an abstract idea, but a physiological and spiritual state that can be achieved within the body itself. What? And the most fascinating part, this process doesn't happen just once. It follows the cycles of the moon, occurring 12 times a year. 12 opportunities to elevate this energy. 12 chances to transmute matter into spirit. But for this to happen, there is one final challenge. The energy can be wasted before it even completes its journey. Many people go through this process without even realizing it's happening within their bodies, and because of this, they unconsciously squander this energy. The sacred secretion can be reabsorbed and dissipated if the right environment for its fixation is not present. And what does that mean? That habits, diet, mental patterns, and emotional states directly influence the final outcome of this process. The good news, there are ways to ensure this energy is properly transmuted. Conscious breathing and energy practices. Breath control is one of the most powerful tools for activating and directing this energy. Techniques like diaphragmatic breathing and pranayama help elevate the fluid. Tongue posture on the roof of the mouth. This is rarely talked about, but the position of the tongue plays a crucial role. Keeping the tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth completes an energetic circuit, allowing the energy to rise freely up the spine to the brain, avoiding foods that calcify the pineal gland. The pineal is a portal. If it's blocked, the energy cannot be properly absorbed. Avoiding fluoride, processed foods, and toxins is essential for keeping it activated. Meditative practices and expansion of consciousness. The mind needs to be aligned with this process. Meditation techniques, visualization, and states of presence help synchronize the body and mind with the ascension of the sacred secretion, using conscious intention. None of this happens by chance. The direction of energy depends on the individual's intention. Where the mind focuses, energy follows. If consciousness is scattered, so is the energy. This is the key to true energy manipulation. It's not about something external. It's not about empty rituals. It's about how the internal energy of your own body is directed. Few people know this. Even fewer apply it. But those who master this knowledge never see reality the same way again. The sacred secretion has completed its journey. The energy that descended dense and raw now returns subtle, refined, awakened. The process of transmutation is complete. But what does this really mean? The ancient alchemists spent centuries coding this knowledge, hiding it in metaphors, symbols, and hermetic texts. They knew that the truth could not be handed to just anyone because few were ready to understand what it truly represented. The Philosopher's Stone, the greatest mystery of alchemy, was never a physical object. It was never a mineral, a chemical substance, or a precious metal. The Philosopher's Stone is you. This revelation has been hidden for centuries. The idea of turning lead into gold was never about metals. It was always about transmuting the human being, elevating the dense matter of existence and refining it until it became something pure, immortal, awakened. Matter can be spiritualized and spirit can be materialized. The physical body is not an obstacle to enlightenment. It is the very laboratory where transmutation happens. When energy rises, when consciousness expands, the body becomes a vessel for the divine. Raw energy can be transmuted into elevated consciousness. Every human being carries this substance within them, but few know how to use it. The one who learns to manipulate it not only awakens to higher realities, but also reprograms their own internal structure, modifying their perception of existence. Energy manipulation is an internal process, not an external one. External rituals have no power on their own. True magic, true transmutation, happens within the human being. It is a process of refining the mind, body, and soul. The ancient masters knew that true transformation does not happen through theories, dogmas, or empty beliefs. It happens through direct experience, through living this knowledge within the body itself. And if you've made it this far, there is only one question left to ask. Are you ready to become the alchemist of your own existence? Now that you know this hidden secret, there is a next step you need to take. I've prepared a special video that will take this knowledge even deeper and show you how to apply this process to your own life. So don't leave just yet. Click on the video appearing on your screen now, and let's meet there. See you on the other side.